Hey there, Empowered Vegan Lifers, Ella here, and I have a treat for you guys today. I am joined by an extraordinary guest who I am so fortunate to call a friend, Geoff Palmer. Geoff is one of the very few people that I know who's been vegan for longer than me. You know, I've been vegan 25 years. Are you ready for this? Geoff has been vegan 35 years. That is a vegan veteran. And get this, he's a natural bodybuilding and natural physique masters champion, the owner of Clean Machine plant-based fitness nutrition, vegan patent holder, and NEXTY winner for Best Supplement of the Year in 2016 and 18. Geoff is also an author, national lecturer, was selected number 40 of the top 100 most influential vegans by Plant-Based News. Geoff also created the first 100% vegan bodybuilding competition in the world, and I was actually honored to have been a judge on the panel and will continue to be. And on top of that, Clean Machine donates 10% of sales every quarter to organizations that promote a plant-based lifestyle. So, wow. Geoff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
That is quite a bio you've got there. You always have so much going on, and I see you just everywhere with all this new information and getting it out there to people all the time. Like, how do you do it all? Like, you do it all.
It's fun for me. It really is. It's exciting. I'm so passionate about the vegan movement. When, I made the change way back in 1985, I felt really weird. I did not know a single person that was vegan, not one. And there were no books, there were no movies, there were no real support system really that I knew of or was encountered with. There was no internet, and it hadn't even been invented really. It wasn't in the public domain yet, at least. But so there was no social media. There was none of these social supports that we're seeing today. And God, I'm so thankful to see the movement explode the way it's exploding right now. It's so exciting. But it's been a passion for me. I love doing this because there really wasn't the information out. Both my parents were in the universities. My father was an English professor. My mom was a psychologist at university level. So, they were academics, and I was raised in that environment. So when I made the choice to make such a drastic, in their mind at least, lifestyle change, I got hammered with the questions, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about nutrition? And what about, and I'm like, okay, I know it's right in my heart of hearts. I just have to find the answers, the logical answers, because I know it's right, And then when I found, wow, it's great for the environment. Wow, it's great for your health. Wow, it is actually better than an animal-based diet nutritionally across the board. And it just drove me to keep finding these answers to these questions that people were trying to get the gotcha questions, Mm-hmm. And I get that. People want to legitimize where they're at. They don't want to change. Most people resist change because it's scary. If I do that, I'm going to, look at that guy. He's getting badgers. He's getting hammered. I don't want to be like that. I want to be in the in crowd. It's safe. It's comfortable. And so it is challenging. And especially back then, you had to be all in, or you wouldn't make it. and I was. And the reason being is because it came from a deeply personal, emotional, and spiritual level. And I believe when you anchor from that place, you're immovable if you really believe in what you're experiencing. And for me, it was about suffering. And I went through a tremendous amount of suffering through suicidal depression. And having broken free from that was so powerful and so moving. It changed the trajectory of my life and has ever since. And I'm really thankful to have stayed with it over the last 35 years and been a part of other people's growth too, which is so rewarding to me.
This is so amazing, Geoff. And I think this is why we connected so quickly, because I come from the same deep space. I'm not the same deep space, but a deep space. Yes. And back in the day when there was no social media. So how did that occur for you? How did you even get the idea, since you knew no other vegans, there was nobody else around you telling you any of this information? How did you even get that on the radar?
Yeah, it was surprising and not surprising because I had lost my father due to alcoholism, my mother from multiple sclerosis, and two brothers from schizophrenia. I lost pretty much almost my entire family in a very short period of time. And it crushed me. You know, I was raised in a high IQ family. All of my family members had genius IQs or higher, not 150s, 160s, that sort of stuff. So, and you know, I love that level of conversation. I love that level of exchange. And when that family unit collapsed, I felt nowhere to turn. I wasn't finding people I could relate with. And on top of that, I was what they call an ESP, extra sensitive person. And that's the physical level, the mental level, and the emotional level. I'm hypersensitive. I can see things other people don't see. I can feel things other people don't feel. And I knew I was different in that aspect, but I found it as an asset, you know. But when negativity happens, it seems like that's amplified 10,000%. And it was crushing to me. And I just really felt like, wow, I'm a loving person. I'm a kind person. I love helping and assisting people, but I feel like I'm born into a world that's self-service instead of a service to others. That is, I'm going to take from you all I can get from you. And I'm like, well, what does this world have to offer to me if I'm in this taking kind of world? It doesn't seem to be a match for me, you know? And to the point, coupled with all that emotional pain, I said, that's it, I'm out of here. And attempted to take my life a couple of times. And, you know, after my third attempt was unsuccessful, I'm like, okay, what is it? Why am I still here? There's got to be a different reason. And I said, there's got to be an answer here. My father didn't find it. My brothers didn't find it. I want to find the answer, how to be happy in this world. And I was in a bar getting drunk, just like usual. I was doing the drugs and smoking cigarettes and everything, eating the standard American diet. And a woman walked in the bar and she was just like glowingly happy. You know, that look that pregnant women get. But she wasn't pregnant, but she was just, I could see it, I could feel it. And I said, just what the hell? Total stranger, walked right up to her and I said, okay, I want what you've got. How do I get there? How do I be happy like you? And she laughed, and she was a little taken back at first, a total stranger coming up to her bar and asking that. But she also saw it as a compliment. She saw that I saw her happiness. And she says, let me introduce you to someone. And of course, I'd become very cynical at this point. And I said, okay, take me to your leader, you know. And I was ready to shoot it down. Because, you know, raised in an intellectual environment with scholastic parents, with academic parents, he challenged everything. And so, you know, he came in and, you know, I opened the door and he stopped in the doorway and he just looked right into my eyes. And he goes, oh, you came here to prove me wrong. I was like, oh, okay. All right. I've never felt so naked in my life before. He saw me. He saw who I was being. And I said, okay, what do I have to lose? I was about to walk out of this planet anyway, so why not see what happens? And we were just talking about nothing, I thought, just yada yada conversation. He goes, oh, it's your father. Whew. It all started to well up. And he goes, your father died, didn't he? And I'm like, yes. And he goes, and he was very important to you. And I'm like, yes. And he goes, try this with me. Say this one sentence and fill in the blank at the end. I created the separation between my father and myself by fill in the word that comes to your mind. So I said that, and I said, I created separation. And then I said something he did wrong. And he goes, no, that's what he did. Tell me how you created that separation. And I kept doing this over and over, and he kept saying, no, tell me how you were creating that separation. And I could feel all the defenses, all these onion skin layers that I had piled on as excuses as to why my world is so negative. And when I got to the heart of it, oh my God, it's just like my heart ripped open and it was bare. And I just said, how come you didn't show me you loved me? But in that moment, the tears poured out and I saw all the ways he was showing me he loved me. But my anger at him for being an alcoholic, for choosing alcohol over me, was so much anger that I couldn't allow that love to be in it. I was blocking the love between my father and I. I was the one creating the separation by my anger and judgment at him. But when I changed that conversation around and I saw his love, I also saw his pain. I saw how much he was suffering and how he was struggling to find an answer and couldn't find it either. And here I was judging him for his choices when he was suffering and struggling. Man, the empathy just poured out. And I said, oh my God, I was not only blocking all his love, I was blocking the love from everyone. I was blocking my own love for myself. And when that door opened up, I felt all that love come back in. When I removed the judgments, oh my God, it was literally like my whole worldview changed. At that moment, I said, I am not about why I'm here to get. I am here to give. That's what's going to bring me joy. It's what I am and who I am and how much I have to offer this world. You know, you look at nurses in hospitals, you know, and doctors in hospitals. Why do they do what they do? Because they go to the place where people need help most. And if you're a loving soul, what's the best place to go? Where people need your love the most. And when I got that, it's just like, wow, I am not here to get anything. But what I get is the joy I get from giving who I am gifted to be born into. That is a tremendous gift that we all have. And if we just focus on giving that gift, we can find joys in giving that you can never get from getting anything. And for me, that changed my worldview. I saw the world now as a place of opportunity, not as a place of people trying to make me anything. And I turned that into empowerment. It's me coming outward with my actions, not me reacting to the world around me. I was stuck in reaction mode because I was stuck in defensive mode, because I was hurting. I was keeping the one thing I needed most, which is my open channel to love, allowing myself to love nature, to love animals, to love myself, to love others. Oh my God, it was such a transformational experience. I was so high, I was floating. I felt like I was literally not touching the ground. I was so buzzing. My hands were just like electric sockets plugged in. I started seeing auras. I started seeing brilliant colors everywhere. Just this amount of energy flow releasing through my body was just overwhelming. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was so wired, I couldn't sleep. So I just stayed up all night meditating on how much pain was released from my body at that moment. It was like just ashes just falling off my body. It was like being born a new person. And I just kept saying this one mantra over and over, which is, how can I contribute to less suffering in the world? And as the sun was rising, I could feel it rise inside myself, like that heat, that warmth, that love rise inside myself when I was looking out the window, seeing the sun rise. And it just came to me, stop harming other beings. Stop eating animals. That day, I quit smoking, quit drinking, quit doing drugs, and quit eating all animals, and have never gone back. That's how profound that experience was to me. I mean, that's not a typical, hey, why did you go vegan story? But it's mine. And it was important to me. It was important to me because I not only committed myself to that, but I committed myself to helping others to come to a similar transformational experience. And I've dedicated the rest of my life to it. So that's what I've been doing for the last 35 years.
Wow. Throughout that whole story, Geoff, like my body was chills, like extreme chills over and over and over again. And that energy, the energy that you created just by telling that story, it was like flooding me. And I'm really hoping that it's flooding everybody, because energy doesn't know boundaries. It doesn't know, that we're on the other side of this microphone. We're all connected. And wow, thank you for sharing that and making this contribution. And where did you go from there? I mean, we got to, everybody's going to want to know. We got to keep going here. So what did you do with that? Because it's so huge, this is massive. How do you then kind of funnel that into the direction you're going to take?
So, I said, okay, all right, well, let me look at how other people have come to this realization, because there's got to be other people out there that come to this realization, right? And I can't be the only one. And sure, then I started looking and reading, and my mother was giving me books that were like, oh my God, you're gonna love this book. But I'm a more experiential type person. So I said, that's it. I'm gonna go experience the world through these different eyes, through this different experience. And I had a big savings in my account from work that I just never touched. So I sold everything. I actually ended up giving away most of my stuff. I mean, I had a free giveaway even back before free cycle was invented back in the 1980s. And, people were coming up and how much you want for this? And I said, no, if you really want it, just take it. They're like, what? Are you crazy? I'm like, no, I just don't have need for it right now. And I said, I'm not going to take it with me. I'm traveling. I'm not going to carry a vacuum cleaner or a television. Take it. I don't need it. I have money. I have got enough money in savings. And so I simplified and got down. I ended up traveling to 48 countries all over the world, experiencing cultures and immersing myself in the cultures, just knocking on doors and saying, hey, do you have a room to let? And living with the people and talking with them about their life and their experience from their culture. Oh my God, it just blew me wide open. And I realized how sheltered Americans are, that, we're surrounded by mostly other Americans. And that we tend to gravitate to our bubbles too, as well. But in going to all these different cultures, I was in 4 different continents. Europe, Africa, Asia, and South America, and traveled through 40 different states in America, Canada, Mexico, the islands. I did it all from hitchhiking across country and back twice to connecting with nonprofits and giving away free bicycles and clothing to children in need in impoverished countries. And oh, it's just a fantastic experience. But when I came back, I'm like, oh, great. Now what do I do with all that information? Where do I plug into this society that is based on profiteering, that is based on, I have something, you buy it, I have a service or a product and you buy it. And I'm like, God, what do I do with all this? And how does it apply to what I want? So health was very important to me. I was a swimmer, an athlete, and junior Olympic swimmer in high school and college, and loved it and loved seeing what it did to my body, loved the experience of performance, athleticism. How it changed my mind, how it changed my emotions. But when you add the nutrition component to it, wow, that changes the whole subject. And I'm like, all right, that's something I can give to people. I mean, it's the 2 biggest things human beings really need. I won't say biggest because it's all relative, but 2 very important things, which is physical activity and nutrition. We eat and exercise. We have to move. So I'm like, okay, why not start there and just help people get to quicker results? So I worked at a lot of different places in the health field. health food stores and stuff like this. And the whole time I was just like a consumer of nutrition information. It's like my current wife still bugs me about that. Say, don't stay up too late reading studies. It's candy to me because this is information that can empower people. When you can share this information, it's free. I share it to you, I give it to you. If it helps you make changes that are positive in your life, how empowering is that? We have this structure where they tell you what to eat in schools, right? Standard American diet. Then it makes you sick by the age, and it's not age that makes you sick and overweight and disease states. It's the diet over a period of time. Our body can handle bad, negative food for a little while, but after a while it catches up and it has its effects. So they give you the food through the school system. Then they tell you, okay, the doctor is the only answer to your things. So you depend on this as our God for that. And then the doctor tells you pharmaceutical drugs. And then the pharmaceutical drugs take your money and tell you what to do. And of course, those cause side effects, which cause more problems, which means more drugs and more profits to doctors and hospitals and pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies who prey on your fear that if you don't do that, you're not going to get your coverage and you're going to get sick. It's all fear-based, everybody trying to take money, but they're profiting off of your ill health. And I'm like, that's backwards. That's just wrong. So I wanted to try to give this information to people and show them that. And thank God there's a lot more research now showing we were right all along, that nutrition is the right answer. It's not drugs. It's not doctors. It's just us doing the intuitive right thing, eating fruits and vegetables. It's right there. Nature's already got its perfectly planned out for us.
Yes, 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 yes. Amen to all of that, Geoff. Wow. Wow. What would you say to people? And we haven't gotten to the bodybuilding part yet, but we could be on here for hours. What would you say to people who are like, wow, Geoff, like that experience you had in that, like that light bulb moment that was so huge, you got that. It kind of came to you. That hasn't happened to me. I still feel stuck. Am I supposed to look for it? Like, how do I, get there? Do you have any words of wisdom for?
Yeah, this is really neat because in my travels, I worked with a lot of different groups. Like I chanted with Buddhist monks. I did sitting meditation. I did Native American sweat lodges and had amazingly transformational experiences. And I immersed myself in these different ways that different cultures have found to cause shifts, to cause an internal change that allows you to really see things differently, to free you from judgments and attachments and fears and allow you to get to that strong, powerful inner self that I'm alive and this is my life and I get to do what I want with it and that I'm full of love and this love is valuable and I'm going to give it to other people. Purposeful, driven lives. But it is hard to get there because we're pounded by social media and internet and news and everything telling us how bad things are and stuff like that. It's easy to buy into the fears. So I think there are really two different ways to shift. And that is one, coming from the inside and having external shift like I did. But that is probably the least common. I think the more common is shifting something externally to cause an internal shift. Like when I was doing a sweat lodge. So the sweat lodge is a physical pouring out of sweat, right? It causes your body just to sweat profusely, intensely, all at once. Well, what that is a physiological release. And if you are in tune with that, if you put yourself in the right mindset, you can also jump in there with an emotional release, with a psychological or even a spiritual release. So you're taking the physical self and moving it significantly. And that causes the mind, the emotional, the spiritual self to want to shift with it. And that's how many different cultures, whether it's Native Americans or Buddhists or cultures all around the world, have found ways to do this. Up in the north, they use ice baths or ice plunging. It shocks the body and it causes a shakeup of the reality. And in that shaking up, it allows your mind to say, wow, that was a different experience. What else is a different experience that I could have? And that starts the wheels rolling in the mind to start asking those questions. What could my life really be like if that was such a dramatic experience? I mean, you can do it from bungee jumping or anything, but it doesn't have to be huge. And it's whatever is important to you. So I loved trying a lot of these different cultural ways of creating shifts. And I think whatever works for you is going to be the right thing for you. Whatever aligns with you, whatever feels the most comfortable, the most right. I used to teach rebirthing. Rebirthing is a technique of very deep cyclic breathing. You familiar with rebirthing?
Not specifically, no.
Okay, so it's just a really controlled hyperventilation is basically what it is. So it's a really high, slow, rhythmic breathing, but it's very deep. So it hyperoxygenates your brain. Now, the brain uses an exorbitant amount of our oxygen, way more than its 2 to 5% capacity. But when you hyperoxygenate it, the neurons can fire like crazy, and it can fire and release different memories. And this is just a simple way, just using air as a way to trigger your brain into a hyper state that can allow your brain to remember or recall, and hence the name rebirthing, even all the way back to the birth state. And as we come into this world, there are a lot of things that we say, gosh, I don't understand that. Why is it that way? And so our mind says, okay, we can't figure it out, and that's frustrating. So instead of living a life of frustration, let's just put that on the back burner and I can cope with life, right? Well, we keep doing that. And we have a lot of stuff on the back burner by the time we're an adult. To go back and re-unlock those memories and see them again with your adult eyes, with your new wisdom, with your new understanding, can re-release those memories because you go, that's why I had that. And it re-releases those feelings that you used to have. Fear of doing X because of that, but because you didn't understand it. One big breakthrough in rebirthing for me was I felt like I came out of the womb and I felt tremendous gratitude. Thank you for bringing me into this world. This is amazing. And I went to tell the two beings that were standing there near me, and it just came out. And I'm like, crap, they don't understand. But when I re-experienced that as an adult, I said, I felt the love from them. And I go, they do understand. Mm. And for the longest time in my adult life, I always felt people didn't understand me. When I released that, I felt like I became really good at feeling like people understand me. So it's simple things, judgments that we attach to emotions, that if we can reconnect to them and see them in a different way, we can release them and release patterns in our lives that hold us back from being the incredible people that we really are.
So true. And that reminded me, I always like to talk about we don't know what we don't know, and when we get open, just open ourselves to information that we didn't know,
yes,
and be open to that and receiving that, then it's kind of like a snowball effect. And that's been, for me, it's like I found something that, with energy and chakras and from Bruce Lipton and epigenetics, and there's all, this world out there that I didn't even know was out there. And when I discovered it, it was like, that came to the next understanding, and then the next understanding. And oh my God, every day is this immense experience of learning and finding new things. And it makes life so, I don't know what to even describe it. So amazing. I think of it like playing life like a game. It becomes kind of a bit of game. Does that relate to you?
Totally. Now, it was difficult being a male, especially, going through these experiences. Um, and trust me, I don't mean this in a negative way, because we all have our own growth. And I was cynical and I was judgmental, and I broke free of that. And I give everybody the benefit of doubt, no matter where you are at, there's room to grow, and myself included. But I found that most of the guys weren't open to talking about emotions or spirituality or, breakthroughs, or, they were more about, I'm right about this, and close up the walls, and I'm tough, and I'm, I don't believe in all that crap. And well, it's just like, wow, how can I relate to, other males that, where do I get to share? Where do I get to communicate with this? And that was challenging. That was very challenging for me. And I believe that's changed over time. And we still have a lot of sexism, on both genders, stereotyping, pigeonholing, typecasting of, you're a male, this is your set of rules that you have to abide by. You're a female, and this is yours. And I don't believe that at all. I mean, I see myself now as a person, as a human, having, a experience on this level. And so, I said, all right, with veganism, especially, with being vegan, that was one of the things that, no, it's manly to eat meat. And then and obviously now there's new films out like Game Changers, which is showing clearly many different reasons why it's absolutely not manly to eat meat. But, I think it's more not about being typical to your gender, but just be true to yourself. No matter what gender you are, be true to yourself. That's where you're going to find the most happiness. And I think sometimes guys will want to be right because they think, okay, well, then if I'm right, then people will follow me. I'll be looked up to, and God, that was the best, most liberating moment when I broke free of wanting to be right. I post research all the time, and people say, no, that's wrong, especially guys. 90% guys, no, that's wrong. And I'm like, that's awesome. Thank you for showing me a different study. I love being wrong. And they're like, what? And I said, no, because being wrong means you found better information. Why is that not good? Why would you want to stick with the right answer if it's not the best answer? That's stupid. That's wrong. That's holding you back from growing, holding you back from being the most you can be. I love being wrong. And science is constantly being proven wrong. We're constantly coming out with new information that replaces our old information that we accepted as truth. And that's beautiful. That's awesome. So I keep looking for the newest, latest plants that are out there. These discoveries can really be beneficial to people if we don't just say, okay, you're going to eat apples, bananas, kale, and blah, blah. Okay, that's what the grocery store has to offer. But there are literally hundreds of millions of plants out there with beneficial effects that nobody's enjoying. And I want to bring some of those to people to say, and that's kind of where the lifestyle became a living, And I love Joseph Campbell, who said, follow your bliss. The rest will follow. And when I first became vegan, I, working at a little health food store, and people would make fun of me. Oh, you're never going to make a living working at a health food store, right? And now I've got my own company and doing quite well. And but I needed to stay true to who I was. It had to be vegan. It had to promote health. It had to be offer benefits that other plants, other food sources just don't offer. And that's okay. Look, if you're not into supplements, I get it. I'm a whole food guy. I went the whole food spectrum. I was completely raw food for 4 years, 100% raw food. I even went as far as fruitarian, only eating fruits and seeds for over a year. And boy, you talk about sensitivity, your eyesight, your taste buds, your smell. Wow. oh my God, my skin, if anything just even laid on my skin, it would, within minutes, I would have a red mark on my skin. That's how sensitive I became. A friend of mine actually just picked up some vinegar and drank it, who is also a long-term 15-year raw foodist, drank it by accident, and it scalded his throat. Vinegar, just vinegar. It would harm no one else. But the cells are so alive, so vital, that they respond. You know, when I hear people say, oh, I'm getting sick, and it's like, no. The part before your symptoms was you sick. The part of you having symptoms is you getting healthier. You've got it backwards. It's that we do things that causes illness, causes poor function at a cellular level. Now, the body wants to try to fix that. We're an amazing self-healing machine if we just get the frick out of the way half the time. But if we can actually contribute to it, even better. But if you keep hitting it over and over again, it's just going to stop responding. It's going to say, well, I'm repairing, but you're damaging it just as fast, so I'm going to give up here. It's like the equivalent of putting a pillow over a fire alarm so the noise doesn't bother you. No, the fire alarm's getting on because you got a problem in the house. It's burning down. Get out, right? Your body's trying to tell you something all the time, but we keep just telling it. What are the drugs? Antihistamines. It's suppressing something. Your body's trying to expel stuff by sneezing and coughing. It's trying to get it out of your system. And what do? Take a cough suppressant. We take an antihistamine. We're suppressing the very functions that our body is trying to do in its self-healing process. Isn't it? Why? Because we don't like the annoying symptoms? Please, that's your body healing itself. You should be thankful that your body is doing those symptoms for you. That's your body healing itself. So, you know, I think we need to get our minds around focusing on preventive health, things that promote our health, and not treating sickness. Because treating sickness, the vast majority of the drugs out there suppress or imbalance the body. And neither one of those things will help a healthy body. They won't. So why do we keep believing this medical system that does just the opposite of what the body is trying to do?
Yes. Oh, man. So now, right now with COVID-19, it seems to me that people are starting to look at this a little more. So if there's something positive to come out of this, it does seem like people, you know, this, how do we boost our immune systems? That's getting out there, and people are starting to look at how can I be my healthiest self on a regular basis so that I don't succumb to sicknesses and illnesses like COVID. Can you talk to those people who are just now like, okay, I got to get started. There's so much information out there. I mean, like you said, it's conflicting, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Where do they start? How do they know what to do?
Well, a good place to start is look at your source of information. Okay. If you understand the person or the place where it's coming from and what their motivation is, then you can understand maybe what bias. We all have a bias. I have a personal bias. I want everybody to go vegan. That is my bias, and I will flat out admit it. I'm not hiding it. It is not subtle. I want people to go plant-based because it will help them, not because it's helping me. Yes, I sell products, but I don't make the products to make money. God, if I wanted to do that, I'd make totally different products. I make them to help people. And my joy comes from people contacting me and saying, wow, this is amazing. I feel so much better. My health is improved. These things are important. So I look for the absolute best that nature has to offer. Like the lentine. This plant is just the most incredible thing. We could do a whole episode on it. Higher in nutrients than any other plant, higher than kale, spinach, spirulina, all of them, even moringa. Higher in protein, in essential amino acids and branch chains. A great source of fiber, 30% of your fiber in just a single scoop. Even has bioactive B12, real B12, human bioactive B12 in the plant This is not on the plant. This is not, the bacteria actually pulls up into the plant and lives inside of the plant. And you can actually get B12 source from this. I mean, it's just a phenomenal plant. Plus, it's amazing for, it's grown on water. 98% of the water is recycled. So the most ecological plant too as well. There are amazing food sources like this out there that people aren't being exposed to. I was the first to bring this plant to market. Not because, look, if I wanted to sell product, I would have done the standard pea and rice protein like everybody else is doing, and I could have made lots of money. Instead, I made this weird green protein. Why? Because it was the best nutrient, because it was whole food instead of isolated, because it was nutrient rich and fiber rich and omega-3 rich, which is all the nutrients our body needs for optimal health. Not just, I want to be a bodybuilder and put on as much muscle as possible, you know. So look at the motivation behind what the person is. Is it a practitioner like one of the vegan doctors who's really interested in healing you and really interested in doing that? Is it a source that has their own personal experience like I do, who comes from a heart space that really wants to help? Like yourself, like I know you to be through our conversations. Genuinely a passion to want to help others. If you can see that or feel that from people, a true wanting to have service to others. Service to others doesn't mean you don't get anything in return. No, good service to others is always rewarded. That's the golden rule. But it should be a fair exchange. You should be getting as much as you're giving. And for me, I feel guilty because I feel like, you know, I would do this anyway. When I look at Star Trek and nobody has any income or pay, you know, I'm like, oh, that would be perfect. I could just do what I want all day long and not even have to worry about paying bills, you know. And I'd be doing the same thing because I love what I'm doing and I love helping other people. But if you can find people like that, that's a great place to start. Obviously, if there's people who are financially motivated, like many in the medical community, unfortunately. And some of that is entrained and programmed. Don't blame the people who are following the rules. It's the system they grew up in. They don't know differently. Obviously, if we can help teach them and reach them other ways, that's a beautiful thing. But yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to definitely put your information in the show notes, because you are obviously somebody that we can trust and that people can go to, knowing that this is coming from a pure positive space, and there are not many people that we can be so sure about. So thank you for doing that. I do have one question personally, if you don't mind, and then because I think we need to have you back for like a whole supplement thing, because this is like we just like open the door to a whole new topic here. Yes, exactly. I don't even want to try to sing. But so for a long time, I was really into just, you know, no supplements as best I can, really doing the whole food things like you were saying. Now, with all this amazing new discoveries of plants, you know, that my world is opening back up to supplements. Also, the soil that we grow our plants in. From what I understand is that our soil is so depleted,
Yes.
that even now eating organic, whole foods, plant-based diet, we're not getting the same amount of nutrients that we used to get from these same foods. And that has been another reason I'm opening myself back up to supplementation. Can you talk to that at all?
Oh, for sure. And I was just on my daily walk in the park today to both get my vitamin D3 from the sun. I was just talking about that permaculture and biodynamic farming and veganic farming. So permaculture is looking at the relationships of the plant to the soil, to the fungus and bacteria in the soil, and all the symbiosis, all the relationships that they have. You know, I think they misinterpreted our evolution when they said survival of the fittest. That is competition. And that's not at all. If you look at the natural world, it's all cooperation. It's all collaboration. It's all working together in synergies and systems. That's everything. Imagine if every cell in your body says, no, I'm going to be the one that wins. They would destroy every cell in your body. That's not how it functions. Thank God our cells don't act like that. Why are we as human beings, whole human beings, doing the competitive thing? Doing, I'm better than you, or I can beat you, or I can, what is that? Especially amongst males. God, it's not the way nature. Nothing in nature happens that way. It is all a song and dance. It is an orchestra. It is things working together in harmony. Okay, so the amazing fungi in the soil, they can have webs. There is one mushroom, a fungus, that they discovered in the Northeast that is over 60 miles around. One living creature.
Wow.
Yes, that is the neural net. And if you look at fungus, it can have a neural net like it's more complex than the human brain. Now, here's something like a plant will actually drop a seed in its tree. Now, the seed can't grow there because the shade will prevent that seed from having enough light. But the plant can send a signal through its roots, sending amino acids and sugars in exchange to the fungus. Hey, will you go help with that? And yes, the root system, the fungi, will then take that nutrition and go over to the baby seed and feed it to ensure its survival. This is the communication that is going on, that is unseen. Human beings with their reckless, oh, this is the plant I want, stick it in the ground, not understanding all this complex networking that is going on. The bacteria, B12, where we get our bacteria, the B12 that we get our bacteria from, actually have a symbiotic relationship with the plants. They actually break down the nutrients in the soil and make them more bioavailable to the plant. So the plant grows even bigger and stronger. And in return, the plant takes amino acids and sugars and sends them down to the bacteria and allows them to eat. So much so was this synergistic relationship. Lentine, or the Wolfia, the lemna, which is a floating water plant. Well, if it's floating and its roots are hanging out, how does it get that? Well, it said, all right, bacteria, you're so important to my survival. I'm going to pull you up inside the root system and create a little housing for you, a little bacteria condo where you can thrive and do your things. Then I'll pull in the nutrients. You break them down for me and feed me as a plant, and I'll send nice little nutrients that you need, sugars and starches and things for you to consume. And that's a symbiotic relationship. We've destroyed all the fungus in the soil. We've destroyed all the bacteria. Now that plant has to try to survive without its co-partners. And well, you know, the weird thing is, and with these synthetic fertilizers in the plants, is like, okay, well, that's 1/10 of 1% of what I need. What about all the rest of the stuff? And that's why our food is so nutrient poor, is because we've left out, we've knocked out, we've killed that relationship between the microorganisms and macroorganisms in the case of some fungi, and the relationship to the plants. These plants have grown these relationships for millions of years in cooperation with the other species. And when we can learn what the plants are really doing and cooperate with the plants once again and show that. And that's what biodynamic farming is about. They're taking these fungi and bacteria and creating soups out of them and then pouring them on the ground to reseed the soil with the microorganisms that the plant needs. And these plants are thriving, giant fruits and stuff like this. And I'm like, why don't our farmers get back to this? They can produce so much more food. That is a lot more for sale. It's more profitable for them. They can produce food that is more nutrient dense, and they can show that, and they can tout that as better than the crappy fruit and seeds that are grown with almost no nutrient. It's a win-win for everybody. Win for the plant. It's a win for us nutritionally. It's even a win for the farmers in abundant crops. I'm like, why are we not doing that? We need to get back to understanding the relationships. We've got into this groupthink as a human species. I can do it on my own. This individualism. and we even called it rugged individualism. No, this whole living network is about relationships. The stronger the relationships, the stronger every single entity. We are not alone. And that's why I love having conversations with people like you, because you're about those relationships, and I love that. And it's exciting to learn from nature and actually apply it to our own lives. This is not just information. This is stuff to live by.
1,000%. And it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes by Maya Angelou when she said, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better.
Yes.
And Geoff, thank you for helping people both know better and then know how to do better as well. You know, I see that as what you're doing, and it's phenomenal and so needed. So thank you.
And likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you for the platform and able to, I'm sure, bring lots of amazing guests on here and share their stories. And together in that sharing, we can really make a big difference in people's lives.
It's certainly my pleasure. All right. Well, before we go, we have a speed round, what we're calling a sprint round. Are you up for it?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to give you 5 questions and just kind of the top of your head, what comes off.
You got it.
Okay. Yeah. What's a food you love so much that you could eat it every single day for the rest of your life?
Easy one. Mangoes.
What's a quirk you have that most people probably don't know? I know this is a tough one.
Quirk. Oh, that's a tough one.
I know.
I get so used to just being me and comfortable with who I am. I don't even.
And maybe not everybody knows everything.
Yes.
You are just authentically you to the real degree. So that's fair.
I'm sure I have quirks, but I don't notice them because that's just not what I'm focused on.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay. A specific exercise that you have a love-hate relationship with, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's cardio. Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure that's a lot of people's. I put it this way. I hate the work. I love the results.
Yep, I got that one. Okay. Name something that evokes pure joy in your heart.
Just being in nature and feeling that vibe, sitting in a forest or near running water or by the beach. God, just feeling that energy, that fills me with joy.
Love it. And an animal species that you feel particularly spiritually connected to?
That's a bunny rabbit. I know that's not the most masculine thing to ever say, but they are kind, they are playful, and they are very curious. And I think that really aligns with me on so many levels.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Okay, Geoff, tell us where we can find you, and I will put it in the show notes as well.
I am on Facebook as Geoff Palmer. I am Geoff Palmer. And then Clean Machine Fit on both Instagram and Facebook. And then Clean Machine Online for the website, if you're interested in the products. Put all the information up on the website so that you can read about the ingredients. We disclose all the ingredients. We disclose all the research that backs up any claims that we make, so that you can read it yourself and verify it for yourself. And please, if you have any questions, info@cleanmachineonline.com. Happy to answer them. I do that personally to every single question that comes into us.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And you guys definitely get on the Facebook feed with him, because he is just this wealth of amazing knowledge and sharing, you know, the latest research that we can really look at and have some trust in. So Geoff, again, thank you so very much for being here. We're going to wrap it up now. So you guys, Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode, and head on over to our website where we will always have a gift waiting for you, a place to leave us a message with your questions, and you can leave questions for Geoff as well, and we'll get him back on, and apply to be coached on an upcoming show. And of course, if you're loving what you're hearing here, we would be extremely grateful if you'd leave us an authentic review and use the share feature to invite all the people you care about in this world to listen to. Until next time. Awesome.